Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the official Trackmania channel for Step 7 of the Trackmania Grand League Challenger Fall 2021 season. The step is about to start in about 15 minutes time, the penultimate step of the season, and you'll get to see all of the action, of course, right here on the Trackmania channel. Hello everybody, I'm Thomas Mengozi, aka GGeek, super glad to be your host once again for the Trackmania Grand League Challenger Fall 2021 season, and alongside me for this week is none other than Kaspa. How you doing?
Hello, I'm doing quite okay, I would say. First time casting in such a big event, feeling a little bit nervous, but I think it's going to be quite good.
Yeah, I must say that this is not exactly your first stab at it, though. You've had a few events that you've casted yourself. You casted a step of the Winter 2021 Open Grand League, for instance, qualifying as well as qualifying for the Finnish Trackmania League. Is that correct?
Yep, it is correct. Two really fun events, loads of competition, and I hope that this step as well is going to be exciting. This is my previous casting experiences.
Yeah, exactly. So if you guys don't know who Kaspa is, he is a Trackmania player for Last Win Gaming. This year he has been participating in both the spring and summer splits of the Baltic Trackmania League as part of Nordic Skirmishers, then recently joined Lithuanian organization Last Win Gaming, with which he participated in the Solos Championship Series inaugural season, finishing in 10th. And as recently as this month, he finished in the grand final of the Baltic Trackmania Cup. Your very first time reaching the grand final of such an event, playing against Bits, Morioka, and SRK. I feel like you did pretty well for yourself.
Yeah, it was a really good time for me, a really good experience. A performance that I didn't really expect to get even. I was going into that competition with a goal of top 6, and to get top 4 was an absolute blast. So I'm happy I got that far.
Yeah, I have no doubt. I guess everyone else would be happy to have gone that far, myself included. But anyway, let's get stuck in with what happened in the previous week of the Challenger. So Mime taking his third step win of the season, his very first ×5 multiplier, 61 points in the first 4 races before winning the 8th and final round, of course, on Grasshopper, scoring 305 points. Then on second place we found Evon, 200 points for him at the end of the step, 50 in the first 4 races, won round 7, which is a level 4 multiplier. Then in third place, Hydra scored 154 points by virtue of winning the very first round on Grasshopper, with 77 points entering the final map. And then on fourth place, 138 points for Otak, winning round 5, which was a level 3 multiplier, having scored 46 points beforehand. And then Wosa has scored 60 points in the first 4 races, and then followed that up with a win on round 3, which was a level 2 multiplier, so he doubled the score to 120. With that out of the way, let's take a look at how the rankings stack up after the first 6 steps of the season, 2 steps to go. Here's what the ranking looks like. Mime retaking the lead of the standings with 1,479 points, just in front of Otak with 1,375, just 1 week after Otak had taken the lead away from Mime. And Evon moving ahead of Hydra by a couple of points, moving up to P3. It's going to be an interesting battle for the final place on the podium here of the season. Hydra down to P4, Energized, Wosa, Mikotra, and Razi in the top 8, and then Cap and Link just outside of the top 8. There are barely 20 points that cover these 3 players. So yeah, those final places for the playoffs are definitely going to be cash money and are going to be costing big time for some of those players if they make a mistake in those last 2 steps.
Yep, indeed. It's a very close fight. I think one that everybody wants to win. Playoffs is a big thing for the top 4 as well. It's important to get into the fight into the main Trackmania Grand League event. To be honest, I think everyone is capable of doing so, and this and the next steps are going to be really crucial for everyone. So no mistakes allowed at this point.
Yes, exactly, and no mistakes allowed also for those that are currently sitting in the bottom 8. Well, Cap, Link, Dofalt, Soja, and Snow might be pretty safe for now, but Exotica is still within 100 points range of P13, which is of course the nice safe harbor that some people want to reach to be able to try to fight their way potentially for another season of the Challenger. Remember, the bottom 3, 14th, 15th, and 16th, will be automatically relegated next week at the end of the season. So yeah, those are going to be some very, very important steps coming up, and some very important performances that need to be put on the table. And yeah, with the brand new maps that have been revealed as well for this week and next week, it's going to be very important for those people to nail it down. In the meantime, let's take a look at the maps. That's a pretty good segue for the map pack for Step 7 of the Trackmania Grand League. Poolside will be your opening race, the final time that we will see this map played out in the entire season, be it in regular season or in the final map pack. Launchpad will then be following suit on race 2. Race 3 will be taking place on Bolt Holes, with race 4 taking place on Grasshopper. Remember, those are the first 4 races that allow you to score some banker points and try to establish a baseline score. And then the new map for this week, Throttling Act by Banano, introducing the forced acceleration block, as well as a balancing identity between beams. A much more pace-based map than what we've seen, of course, in the previous ones. Bolt Holes and Grasshopper were already pretty pace-based, but this one takes it up to another notch, I think.
Yeah, I agree. It's a very all-or-nothing map in which you have to risk a lot. There's not much sections where it's really hard to just complete, but it's really hard to get them really, really fast. So I think it'll be interesting to see how many players are willing to risk it all for the multipliers. Definitely will be a fun watch for map 5.
Yeah, indeed. And yeah, also first time that we're going to be seeing 6 slappers being done on Grasshopper, and yeah, it's going to be pretty interesting to see how many people are going to be going for the full bug slide route. There have been some people that have been trying to practice it. I've seen a replay from mine trying to going for the full bug slide route all over the course of the 6 laps, and some other people try to play it more safe and try to take the bumpers head on, not trying to risk their lineups over the course of the first and second platform jump with the bug slide. So yeah, it will be very interesting to see how many people are willing to risk it, or maybe if there are going to be more hybrid approaches, maybe bug slides for 1 or 2 in the course of 1 or 2 laps, as they feel like they could actually potentially catch up to other people in front. Or if there are going to be more, it's going to be a bit of guesswork to try and find out what the mix of people going for full bug slide or full safe, or a mix between the two.
Yeah, I don't really think we're going to be seeing mixed strategies, as it is really risky to switch up strategies mid-laps.
That's a good point.
However, I think people safing is definitely an option. Level here is really high. If people risk, they have a risk of, crashing, which is going to put them down the order. I think some of them are going to make sure to stay safe, get at least like a top 8, top 7 finish, and the top players definitely gonna full risk it, see if they can get the top 3.
Yeah, I'm kind of wondering how the identity will have an impact on the outcome of the 6-lapper, because we saw on Bolt Holes, as a 2-lapper, it provided some fantastic racing, and as a 6-lapper, whilst it did the same, it was very clear that a single mistake in that first jump through the identity would completely cost you your race and basically completely thwart your chances of getting some vital points. So I'm kind of wondering how Grasshopper fares there. If it is as punishing as Bolt Holes in the 6-lapper, I might be more inclined to think that we might be seeing more safe strats.
Yeah, there's a high chance for that. When I tried to do the identity, it was really tough. It took me about 3 minutes to get a clean run for the bug slide route. So I think it's definitely going to be a tough task to risk it all for 6 laps in a row. Safing could very well be an option to capitalize on others' mistakes and not make a mistake yourself.
Yeah, exactly. So we are currently on the game server. Let me actually just show you what we are currently looking at. Players are currently warming themselves up, of course, on Grasshopper, the host for race number 4 for the bigger amount of points that we're going to be seeing. And yeah, everybody's on the server currently training. We haven't seen anyone having last-minute issues, unlike what we saw so far for the past couple of weeks. But yeah, Mime, we were kind of discussing it off camera. He is not really feeling too comfortable about the final map that is going to be played out, of course, on the final stage. He was a bit more discovering it, trying to get more confident on it. Do you think it might hurt his chances of actually getting a bigger multiplier this time?
I think, yeah. The thing is that if you're not feeling confident on the map in a high-pressure situation, it's very easy to lose it. I mean, Mime has been having a really, really good history of performing in high-pressure situations, but I don't know. Today might be the day when his luck runs out, in my opinion.
All right, so yeah, let's take a look at some of the other people that are currently involved. Of course, we're currently sitting on Grasshopper. Let me try to check in on the Trackmania.io leaderboard. Now, let me try to see. Mime has a pretty good pace on there. According to the Trackmania IO leaderboards, he's currently enlisting a 6:04.557 PD, which is second overall in the leaderboard. So that might be his big chance to try and score some big points. He might be focusing more on the 6-lappers this time around, trying to say, okay, maybe I will just be doing a, I'll just be doing as good of a job as I can to actually get some decent points in the 6-lapper. Try to avoid finishing outside the top 8. That's basically the name of the game. And then maybe just be content with a 2x multiplier just to get some big points in the bag, because having a multiplier is better than having no multiplier and sitting on your baseline score.
Yep, that is correct. I think it's as I said, it's more or less a coin flip. Mime has been really good. I haven't exactly known how much he's prepared for previous steps. Maybe he's gone in with the same mentality in this step as well. But from a side view, it's going to be a bit of a struggle for him. It can get really close.
Yeah, it can get very, very close. Now, I think we should talk about some of the people that are just outside of the top 8, that are just on the verge of potentially making it. One of them, of course, is Link, currently sitting in P10, 436 points. Do you reckon that he actually has what it takes to potentially get back up the ranking as early as this step is ending?
I think yes. Personally, he has the pace to do it. He has the consistency to do it. He has even the experience. I think he can perform when it matters the most. Will he do it? Probably. There's a lot of really good competition around him, and it will be a challenge. But I think Link will not throw it away in these last steps.
Yeah, as we said a little bit earlier, there's definitely going to be a very, very tough battle for those final top 8 positions. You can see Rossi's just 7 points ahead of Cap. Himself is just 9 points ahead of Link. So yeah, really tight battle. And Mi4 is not that far off reach for the people that are just up ahead of him either. So yeah, it's definitely going to be a very interesting last few steps. And also, as I said, the battle for P3, Evan and Hydra, who decides who are going to be having a battle for the last step on the podium. And it's important because there is also a little bit of cash prize involved as well by reaching P3. Remember, you get 200 euros if you finish in 3rd. Of course, 2nd place gets 500, and the winner of the season gets 1,000 euros.
Yep, I think the battle for top 3 is really, really hard. The battle for 1st as well is really, really close as well. Nothing can be ruled out. Both Otak and Mime, really great players. But if we're looking for the battle for 3rd, my bet would be on Evan. He has a lot of experience in these Tmgl circuit events, and he knows how to play them. He knows the mentality more or less. Hydra, well, he played in OGL, I believe, in winter 2020, so he has that experience as well. Though I feel like some of the rounds, maybe some of the multipliers might hurt him badly in the upcoming steps, but. Yeah, I would say it's going to be a really, really nice fight.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, we are about to get started racing here on Step 7 of the Trackmania Grand League Fall 2021 season for the Challenger Division, of course. And up first is our first 6-lap race of the day on none other than Poolside by Kisla, the final use of this map here on the Fall 2021 Grand League season, of course, with those little dips into the water, little pool sections, introducing interactions between water and plastic, water and road, and water and dirt. Of course, here, dirt with wet wheels, not that much of a problem, but wet wheels on tarmac, very much a big problem. A few different strategies here for that second bounce, for that second dip into the water. Either you dip late or dip early, or try to go for a water bounce like we've seen being performed over the last couple of weeks. And of course, the identity, that snaking section with the little dips in the poles, trying to go as close to the poles as possible. And yeah, some pretty ballsy strategies to carry as much speed as you can into the corner as well being involved. And yeah, final time we get to see this map by Kisla, which I actually quite liked for myself. I don't know about you.
Yeah, I really like this map as well. The whole map section and the identity. It's really, really fun to play. And I think it is challenging as well, but it's the fun type of challenging where you want to do the best you can, even though it's really hard and you suck at it all the time. So it definitely will be a interesting map. Is definitely going to be producing a lot of close racing quite sad that it's going away in this step.
Yeah, I'm also pretty sad as well. Moving on to the identity now from the perspective of Fegley from Team 300, the American driver, not having had the best season so far. Let's see. So you can have two different strategies for that first part of the identity. Either try to go for a dip, the normal way, as I like to call it, dip low and try to get close to the pole on the inside, or try to perform a slide on the plastic and carry as much speed as you can on the outside of the corner and avoid hitting the pole on the outside. That speed kind of carries through all the way through the second part of the turn. Then of course the last part is a little bit more complicated to manage. Make sure to avoid sliding out and be a little bit too fast on the exit of one of those dips, because otherwise you're just going to be sliding all over the place on the plastic. In the meantime, we're getting started right here, right now, following the perspective of Fegley for the start of this first lap.
Yep, I think overall it's going to be a really good map for him. Though his start has not been that good. P9 at the moment, making a mistake as well, so that's going to put him down the order. Meanwhile, the top 3 fight is between Exotica, Otak, and Default. Otak seems to go for an outside line, getting way more speed, and just barely overtakes Exotica, who is in second. Although Exotica is getting the fight up to Otak, which is really, really nice to see. As we see the top 8 packed in with around about 2/10 actually, so really close battle in the first half of the lap, nearing in the identity currently. Exotica and Mime go for the no slide strategy, as the rest go for the slide strategy. Everyone's still staying around more or less equal. The Quattro goes for the outside without a jump. Seems to me like everyone is going through identity smoothly, and Mime goes in first in the first lap.
Mime having taken a really, really good opening lap, leading into lap number 2 with a 1:10.835. And yeah, and Exotica having had a really, really good start, but seems to have lost a lot of time after the second dip into the poles, where he went for that node slide strat. Did not manage to pull it off as well as Mime did, and Mime having carried through the momentum into the identity as well. In the meantime, back up towards the front, the top 4 is Mime, Hydra, Otak, and Miquatro. Miquatro a little bit further behind. The gaps have already widened quite a bit. Razi and Energize having made big mistakes as well. Jump down to the bottom of the leaderboards. Miquatro touches the CP pillar and thus will be dropping outside of the top 8 down to P10 as he gets overtaken by people such as Cap, Link, and Snow, promoting everyone up a place, with Exotica now in the battle for 3rd place between himself, Evon, and Default, with Otak, or I should say more P4, because P3 was occupied by Otak. Good emphasis on was there, Thomas, because yeah, indeed he hit the wall on the outside of the second dip pole, and he hits the pole as well at the entry to the identity. So yeah, the player from Lily Sports is going to be out of the running, and Mime in the meantime continues to consolidate his advantage at the front to half a second and continues to lead into lap number 3.
Yep, indeed, we have a really nice fight brewing it for the top 3. However, I also want to give a little bit of emphasis on Losal, who I think made a mistake in the start and right now is caught up all the way back up into P8, which is a really, really nice thing. Lap 3, not losing the mentality. As for the rest, Otak will try to. He's made the move on the Quattro and might make the move on Losal as well. However, Rosal does not give the position away.
Yeah, so far, Otak trying to do a bit more damage limitation, trying to get back into the top 8 after that mistake on lap number 2, that season getting dropped out of the top 8. And yeah, so far, he's done a good recovery drive, going for the slide tactic versus Rosal with a no slide. He would have pulled it off if it were not for that small touch on the inside before the jump into the checkpoint, but Otak is still right there. He carries much more speed into the identity compared to Wolfstyle. It's still going to be very much a battle between all these people, 8th, 9th, and 10th right now for the last few places. 108.445 fastest lap for Evon, who's moved up into 2nd place at the expense of Hydra, who's made a big mistake. He's dropped down to P5 and even P6 as he got overtaken by Link. And so far, we were briefly talking about the Exotica, and he's currently holding on pretty nicely in P4.
Yeah, he is. His pace is quite surprising, to be honest. So far, haven't really seen him fight for such high spots, but he has said before that he's way better than people make him out to be, and he is proving that with every single bit of himself that he can, sitting right now in P4.
Yeah, so far so good right now for the player from RBG Esports. And in the meantime, battle for the top 8 still continues to rage on between Miquatro and Wosile at the moment, both going for the no slide strat. Again, Wotak trying to get back into the picture with the slide strat. It does make it work though, and is now within the clutches of Wosile for battling for P8, and Miquatro trying to carry as much speed to the identity here. Otak not able to really make it work, so both are still keeping ahead of the Frenchman from Lille Esport, and they're also catching up to Soldier in P7, and then a little bit further up ahead, a battle for top 4 between Nixonica, Link, and Hydra as well, although Soldier made a bit of a mistake and dropped down to P9, promoting both Wosile and Miquatro into the mix. And yeah, so far it's outside of the top 3, it's looking like a pretty hot battle for the big points paying positions at the very least, and even people like Miquatro, I was gonna point out his case, but I briefly saw in the corner of my eye his ghost completely yeeting himself off of the barrier, so yeah, unfortunately the Flying Finn is out of the race, down to last position even. But yeah, I was gonna point out a big fight between Miquatro, Otak, and Soldier, but now it's become a bit of a 2-horse race, and even Otak has now scampered away in front of Soldier.
Yeah, the thing is that Soldier, I think, made an even bigger mistake right now, as Cap has gone even closer and now might even make a move onto Soldier, but probably won't be close enough. And someone's made a huge mistake. It was Wosile. He touched the CP and is all the way down to 10th, so tough luck for him, and another mistake in the identity, which means that he is going to be out of the fight for the top 8. Meanwhile, Otak has gone very far away from Cap and has probably guaranteed himself a 6th position if he doesn't make any more mistakes in the last lap.
Yeah, indeed, we're on the final lap, and in the meantime, whilst we were talking about people a bit further behind, I was catching up to the action up front, and Evon having a really blitzing lap at 108.380. He's now battling for the lead versus Mime, as Mime briefly touches the outside of the wall on the landing, and so he will be dropping down to 7/10 behind Evon. That was looking a really close fight for the first part of the lap at the very least, but that small mistake was all it took for him to slow down. Now, of course, never say never. Nothing is over until you see the checkered flag, of course, here on Trackmania, so there might still be a mistake from Evon that could be happening. He has to rely on that, though, because Evon is looking to be absolutely on fire. He is absolutely on it, carrying as much speed as he can through the first part of the identity, now onto the second dip, onto the third dip as well, and that should be good enough for Evon. Jumps are good over a second ahead of Mime. He takes the race win with a 6:54.581. Mime in second, and Dofal complete the podium. Nixonica dropping down from 4th to 6th in the final stages. Cap and Revolution complete the top 8. Top 8 for Revolution. That is good enough to be noted.
Yeah, I was looking at him on the last lap. He managed to make up about 2/10 to, I think it was Vosal in 8th, so really good job from him, pushing in and showing his speed to get into a top 8. And yeah, I think a little bit of a disappointing map for Hydra as he finishes in P11 and Razi as well in P13, so definitely not the greatest opening for the step.
Yeah, indeed, but of course it's all about Poland. 1-2 with 27 points for Evon with the race win in the fastest lap, and 22 points for that second place from Mime, which could have also closely been a first place. That was a really close battle in the opening stages of the opening part of the final lap, right up until the landing on the right-hand side of the dirt, touching that little bit of the wall on the exit, and that's really completely wrecked his race. Moving on to race number 2 here. For this step, we're moving on to Launchpad by Ubisoft Nateo, which was introduced as of step number 4. Of course, having a really big plastic start and the reactor boost identity to fly through the 2 ring CPs, where you have to really time your inputs to actually go through, pitch the car from pitching over to the left to over to the right to get then the lineup for the reactor boost part. Also manage your release times, trying to manage the throttle as well as the steering. It's going to be a pretty complicated identity, as well as the ice part, which is another pretty key part of the map, which does have a bit of an awkward approach to it.
Yeah, the ice part is somewhat interesting and feels sometimes a little bit unusual. However, once you get it down, it's really doable in round space. I think, as well, we've had this map for quite a while, so I feel like this map, the ice spot, is not going to trouble the players too much. However, what can trouble the players a lot is probably the identity. Really tough. You need to not get too much speed for it because you can overjump the jumps. So overall, it could be a point in which players make quite a lot of mistakes.
Yeah, and especially it's very important to avoid clipping either of those two ring CPs, because if you make that particular mistake of clipping the CPs whenever you try to go for a simple respawn, it will be you will be completely wrecked, and you'll be forced to double tap, losing the best part, I think 6 or 7 seconds. The penalty is very harsh if you have to double respawn in the identity, so it's going to be very, very much key for those players to actually get it. You can see Revolution's name tag in the background, who's respawn trying to get the identity just right so that he does not get caught out in the race. As we're about to get started with race number 2, and I think we should follow with Otak, who had a bit of a recovery drive after a mistake in the opening laps on the first race. He's currently sitting in 5th with 18 points.
Yep, map 1 wasn't maybe the greatest for him, although this map seems to be a pretty good map for him. He does know how to drive really, really fast here, and so far his start is really good. P2, although P3, as I say, but as everyone makes a move up on him. Hydra and Energize as well move up into 3rd and 4th. The ice part coming up, everyone seems to have made a small mistake, as Rosal and Hydra fight for the podium positions, with Mime being almost a full 10th ahead of him in P1.
Yeah, Mime having had a good exit from the ice part, same for Rosal, an even better one than Hydra and Otak, and he's right now nose to tail. They're both right now nose to tail within half a tenth of a second, with Otak moving up to P3 at the expense of Hydra in the plastic part. Flick over to the left-hand side for the chicane, and onto the identity. Let's see if there are any mistakes in the top 4. Oh, Hydra managing to, trying to manage his throttle a little bit. Rosal versus Mime, drag race to the line for lap 1. It's going to be the lead for Mime. Otak, having had a slow landing, did not really get a zoop at the end, and still he will be dropping down the order down to, well, P9, P10. He's right in the middle of the field. Same thing for Solja at the moment, battling against people such as Solja and Link, trying to get back into the top 8. In the meantime, Rosal and Mime battling tooth and nail for the lead, and Rosal having taken the advantage over the Polish driver from Exalted Toro right now.
Yeah, the battle for the lead is really, really close so far. Rosal not having the greatest exit into the second ice turn, which will lose him quite a little bit of time. But to be honest, won't be too much of a loss. He's still going to stay in second, as Snow is almost a second behind both Rosal and Mime, as everyone is actually close into getting into P3. Going into the identity can make a move up on him. However, I don't think he will. Oh, yeah.
That was a bit close. I don't know about you, but for me it looked very, very close, especially for the back of the car. Evan, for me, I thought Evan was going to clip it, but no, in the end he managed to make it work out. Rosal going again for the high line. We saw that that line from a couple players in Challenger, but also from Gwen in the Tmgl, going really high on the very first wall ride, and then going back down low on the second one, trying to carry as much speed as he can. Did not exactly work out. Currently surrenders the lead to Mime, who's not got a big boulevard just behind him. He's got a second of an advantage over Evon, who's get promoted up into P2.
Yeah, that strategy from Rosal seems to be biting him in the back in the later part of the map. He gets a lot of speed, but then he doesn't really know what to do with it, as the next part is really, really tight. So I feel like that strategy may not work out for him as well. As he's essentially lost a lot of ground right now, down to P6, as he surrenders the lead to the two Polish drivers, with Evan and Mime being 1 and 2.
Yeah, indeed, and behind both Evan and Mime, it's a bit of a party at the back, because 3rd through 9th, they're regrouped within a second. They're having a really tough battle for the top positions, for the top 8 positions. Rosal having a bit of a weird landing, dropping down to P7. Again, going really high, dropping down low, trying to carry as much speed here through the banked grass corner. He tends to lose a lot of that speed in that particular section, so it doesn't really seem to work out in the way that that it was supposed to be, and you were potentially right. A few players already having made mistakes. They saw the guy who had such a good opening map, unfortunately for him, had made a mistake in one of the preceding 4 laps, and thus he will be down in P10, some 5 seconds down to the top 8 needed for those big points. Mime still continuing to widen his advantage. Otak and Solja battling for the 3rd position, as well as Snow. While Snow has dropped a lot of speed in the grass, so he's going to be dropping down to P7, but still remaining in the top 8, barely. Energized just a half a second behind, so he the gang is sorely splitting up, but it's still looking pretty close.
Yeah, I'm seeing that Energize is saving the ice part quite a lot, the part that we talked about. I thought that now would be risking too much. Hydra has made a huge mistake.
Yep.
He is basically out of the running right now, gifting the top 8 spot for Energize, which is going to be really good for him as he is right now sitting with only 1 point. As for the battle in the top 6, Vorsal, Miquatro, Soldier and Otak all within reach for that top 3.
Yeah, indeed, and it seems as though they never really go too far away from each other. They're always keeping contact. It's a bit more of an corny. The gaps tend to actually go a bit wide, and then slowly shrink back down. And they stay relatively the same over the course of the lap. On the ice part, Soldier versus Rosile, who's going to have the better exit? It seems as though Rosile's got the better one. Now, through the reactor boost part, much better speed from Soldier compared to Rosile, so he will overtake him on the grass power. Otak, currently sitting in P3, is taking the chance to actually try to make a breakaway run here and try to build a bit of a gap. He's got around 5/10. He's got half a second compared to the battle for P4 between Rosile and Soldier. Miquatro a bit further behind, 3/10 down as he goes to the identity for the penultimate time. Are there any mistakes at the top? Mime and Evon make it through. Same for the top 5. Miquatro with the top 6 manages to make it through. Oh, Otak does land too wide on the left-hand side and clips the CP, and that's going to be dead for Otak right there and then. He still stays in the top 8, thankfully, but that was a little bit of a close call.
It was. Not sure what Otak did, but it was a huge mistake. It's cost him a top 3 finish right now, as that fight has gone over right now to Volsal, Soldier and Quattro. All 3 really close, and as this is the last map, I think they are all going to try to go push for it. We'll see who's going to be the one who will save it more. Miquatro does not get a really good exit as he goes into the grass part. Volsal touches the wall, which means that he is going to be out of the running, as Soldier goes in 3rd as he enters the plastic section. Snow closely behind and will not be able to make the move before the identity.
Yeah, in the meantime, Evon might seem to have actually caught up to Mime, but no, it's not going to be enough, and so Mime will have this race on lockdown and win. The 6 sniper on Launchpad, slow landing for Snow, dropping down to P6, Evon in P2, Soldier moving up to 3rd, Miquatro and Wosal up into P4 and P5, Snow in 6th, Otak and Energize complete the top 8, and you can see some big gaps between the top 8, and then P9 from Exotica, 6.5 seconds. There are going to be cap that he's not going to be able to actually reach the finish line. He will not score any points for his endeavors here on Launchpad. Link should be able to make it through the reactor ring he goes, and yes, he will score the points for P15, but Cap is way too far behind. He has retired. He knows that he cannot longer reach the finish line there. And yeah, so far, again, pretty good, solid haul. And here we're on even footing, 49 points each, both having had a race win and the fastest lap of the race.
Yeah, it's a really, really close battle between them. A really good race from both of them. Some really, really good fastest lap times as well. The 2 Polish players do show everyone how it is done, as we are going into the next map, Bolt Holes.
Yes, indeed. We're moving on to Rocket's very first map in the Trackmania Grand League, Bolt Holes. A map that was, I still really rate it as one of my favorite maps, more approachable than the ones that we've seen in the past when this one was very particularly introduced. And the identity was, it looks simple, it is deceptively precise. You require to have a pitch perfect approach to the first jump. Otherwise, if you are 1 pixel off or you go 1 km/h too fast, you run the risk of actually bonking either side and completely wrecking your race. And it's even worse it's even more present in the 6-lapper format than in the 2-lapper format, I would say.
Yeah, in the 2-lapper format, if you mess up, it's not really that big of a deal. But the identity is precise, and to risk it, it's it's quite hard to risk it. But in the 6-lapper, when you have to drive it consistently, how I really want to see, with quite a lot of practice to be had on this map, I really want to see how players will do this identity. I think they're going to be way more consistent than last week, but to be honest, anything can happen, as we've seen from the previous 2 maps.
Yeah, indeed. And as I said, it's one of those where you have to have a really pitch perfect approach, and you can't afford to have a lot of variance in there. You have to be on your line very much at the right from the beginning when you actually enter the identity, as we see here from the perspective of Osal. You go through the first jump, they all make it through clean, but it can be that little variance here in the approaches that you see from the Ghost of Energize and Snow. If they would have gone a little bit too high, then unfortunately they would have clipped the top of the first jump or the side, and they went a bit too far to the right. And there are of course another few tricky sections, such as the Neo slide to pull off right beneath the pole before the reactor boost, which can be a little bit tricky, especially with the clip that you can actually get here. In the meantime, we're getting started for race number 3, and we're following along with Wosile.
Yep, seems to be a pretty good start for him. Gets quite a lot of speed, and in the first place again, Nixotica having a really nice start alongside Evon, as Fegli comes out of nowhere in P2. Currently, not driving all too bad either. Otak retaking the lead there, as he goes really tight to set up for the half-pipe jump, going to the Neo slide. Otak still remains in P1, though the battle for P2 is extremely close. However, this is lap 1. Gaps are expected to become bigger, as Hydra currently, even in the standings, he doesn't have many points fighting in the top pack.
Yeah, so far, Otak having had the best start to his lap and the best start to his race through that first part of the lap up until this point anyway, and he's going to be coming into the identity. This is when we're going to see potentially a few mistakes being made. I'm currently following along on the Exotica. Are there going to be any people clipping? No, everybody makes it through. Oh, I say that, but unfortunately Wosile came off the worst for a clipping, barely at the top cap, having had a bunk like we saw 2 weeks ago, and he gets unfortunately ejected at the third jump, having approached with the wrong angle that third and final jump. That second jump, he had the clip at the top like we saw Evon a couple of weeks ago during the 2-lappers, but unfortunately that next section completely wrecked him right there and then. 122.648, the early benchmark for Otak, leading into lap 2. Evon in P2, and just behind him we find Me, Quattro, and Solja. And yeah, 8/10 between 1st and 8th at the moment. Not too bad.
Yeah, it's quite close. First lap was deadly for quite a few people. Nixotica as well did the first lap cleanly, but the next map on the plastic section got his rear wheel clipped on the top of the block, meaning that he is right now in 14th, not likely to get a top 8 finish. As for the fight in the top 8, Link seems to have fallen 1 second behind, as the fight for top 3 rages on between the Quattro, Soldier, and Evon, as Dofault as well wants to see himself in the mix. And Hydra gets a no slide, which means that he is going to be out of contention. Unfortunate
no slide there for Hydra, and Mime, who was in P2, completely flunked the first jump and went head on to one of the plastic parts of the jump, and so he will be out of the running there for this race unless there's a catastrophe that happens that promotes him back into the top 8. Otak continuing his lead into lap number 3 at 119.154. Evon moving up into second place after having been overtaken by Mime midway through lap 2, and still P3 right now for Me Quattro. And yeah, the gaps are slowly but surely widening up. Otak and Solja and Dofault having a battle between themselves for P4, who's going to be the first Belgian in the standings. And then a bit further behind we find Link, and then a couple further tenths behind we find Energize and Snow, and then 1 second behind him we find Razi.
Yeah, Razi seems to be a bit revived on this map, being quite close to the top 8 right now, comparing to his previous maps in which he had made a few mistakes. So if Snow or Evon, actually talking about, Evon has made a mistake, dropped down to 7th position right now, which means that the fight for the top 6 has become a little bit easier for the players that are in the top 6.
Yeah, so far Energize currently sitting in that 6th position. The top 6 making it through clean. Same for Evon, same for Snow, so no really big mistakes to report in that regard. Razi, though, who was right on the edge of that top 8, unfortunately was forced to respawn at the jump into the identity, so he will be down in P13. His race might very well and truly be over as we enter in lap number 4. Otak still continuing to lead, continuing to pull away. He's 1.1 second ahead of Dofault, who, thanks to the mistake from Evon, moves up into the 2nd position. And Me Quattro, who made a mistake of his own, is dropping down to P5. He has dropped down to P5 as we entered lap number 4, and you can see Dofault now having to potentially fend off the attacks of both Solja and Link, who are catching up to him.
Yeah, it seems as if a lot of people are crumbling under pressure in these laps as we saw Mime actually make, I think, another mistake, so he's gone down to P15, or still 6 seconds ahead of Revolution. However, the battle for P8, I think, as well, is one worth for attention. Hydra might catch up to Snow, as he's only half a second behind, so could be a battle worth watching.
Yes, indeed. In the meantime, we're going to be moving up to P7 with Energize. Are there going to be any mistakes from the top? Yeah, it seems that we had someone who had a bit of a rough time. It was Evon. We were talking about him a couple laps ago. Unfortunately, he's forced to actually go through the booster, and so he will be dropping down to P11. Otak currently still leading away, but Dofo managed to get up some ground. He might have had lost some ground here on the identity Otak, as the gap has shrunk down to 3/10. Remember, it was 1.1 seconds at the start of the start of the previous lap on lap 4. Miquacho battling with Link again for P4. It's a three-way battle actually for P3 with Solja now in the mix.
Yep, indeed. Seems as if maybe Otak made a small mistake, with which Otak has made now a massive mistake. He has gone flying and given away the lead to Default, as Soldier is in second, making it a Belgian 1-2, as Link is just shortly behind the top two Belgians.
Yeah, and yeah, it's good that you actually pointed it out. I briefly saw his guns in the corner of my eye, but of course we were focusing on another part on the battle, of course, for P3, which is now promoted into a potential battle for second place. Now it's a two-way fight for third between Link and Miquacho, but again, yeah, as you can see, Solja is right there. He's just 2/10 away, and they are still managing to reel him in slowly but surely. Moving on to the identity for the penultimate time here in this step. Top 4 make it through clean. Snow managing to make it as well. Hydra is now right there with him, who was outside of the top 8 a couple laps ago. Manages to get the clip and get away with it. Snow lands right there. Oh, but he actually landed too close to the wall. He had a bit of a bad landing, and thus Hydra will be promoted up into P5, and Snow also loses a place to Energize. Energize moving up to P6, Snow down to P7, and Fegli currently sitting in the top 8, but he's got some pretty hot drivers actually coming up, with Evon making short work of him to get back into the top 8. So a little bit of damage limitation there for Evon.
Yeah, well, for Fegli to keep Evon behind him is a really, really big task right now, but I feel like he can do it, as Evon has been looking a bit shaky in the identity section. So if Fegli manages to stay within maybe around about a 10th, he will not be able to do that, as he's made a clip, meaning that his chances for the top 8 are probably over. Meanwhile, the fight for second place, Link, Soldier, and Miquacho all fighting neck and neck, as Hydra has dropped out of contention in that fight. Soldier lost a little bit of ground to Link, as he wasn't second at one point. Default seems to be clear ahead, so could be a map win for him. As we go into the last identity, Link makes it cleanly, so does Soldier. Second jump, Default dies.
Battle to the line for the lead. Link versus, actually Link was forced to release, and Soldier gets a map win here on this step. 25 points for him with an 8:00.327. Miquacho second, Link in third, Hydra Energized fourth and fifth, Default down to P6, Evon finishing in 7th, and P8 for Wosile. P9 for Fegli, P10 for Razi, P11 for Nexotica, Cap in P12, Snow finishing in P13, P14 for Otak, P15 for Mime, who will be rallying the finish line any second. He's going to be maybe styling on us and maybe finishing in reverse. There he goes. And Revolution will be finishing that 6th lapper this time around. Remember, last week he was not able to finish the map barely. He was just a few inches away when the timer actually ran out. And so, win for Soldier, which is going to be netting himself 3rd place right now in the step with 47 points. Evon taking the lead over Mime in the step with 65 for Evon versus 50 for Mime.
Yeah, and one thing I want to point out, despite this disappointing map for Mime getting what I think it was only 1 point, he still remains second in the standings. His main rivals, I think Otak, made a huge mistake, and I think Mime's going to be happy to walk away rather unscathed from this map, as he's going to be going into Grasshopper, hoping to get maybe a better performance.
Yes, Grasshopper by Kisla, the second Kisla map here on this step, and yeah, the reintroduction of the bumpers, the cruise control block as well, which has been introduced, and an identity where we kind of discussed this earlier on before the start of the step. It's going to be pretty interesting to see how many people are going to try to opt for the safe route, where you really just take the bumpers head on, or how many people are going to try to go for the bug slide, as you can see here, being performed on screen consecutively over the course of the 6-lap race. Hybrid strategies with just a few bug slides sprinkled in might not really be coming into frame, because as you pointed out yourself, it is very difficult to actually switch up strategies in the middle of a race.
Yeah, I mean, to those that can do it, well, it's a monster task to pull off, especially in such a high-pressure situation where, well, you have to do really well, as we are going to it, and we're seeing Mi4 safe it, as well as Soldier, so we're definitely going to be seeing people not doing the same strategies. One thing for sure, probably all are going to remain with one.
Yeah, and I feel like there are going to be there may be a couple people with big points that are going to try to pull off the full GGeek strat and try to go for the bug slides, but I feel like most of the people are going to be like, I feel like we're in the 6-lapper here. It's very important to stay consistent, and if I'm not, I don't feel some people might not feel too great about feeling off consistent grass slides over and over again at the same place in the same exact manner lap after lap. So they're going to be, of course, going for the safer strategy, as we're already underway, and we're following the perspective of Default. 42 points for him. P4, joint P4 with Mi4, who's also sitting on 42 points.
Yep, seems to be that his start is not the best. Currently in last position, I think it was Fegli, who has made a small mistake. Another decent side is from Revolution, who is currently in P13, as there's been another mistake by Hydra, it looks like. So a lot of people falling out in the first lap already, as the top fight is between Evon and Otak. Both are within 1/10 of each other going into the identity.
Yeah, and we're moving on to, of course, the part before the identity with the cruise control block, crossing on 298 here for Snow. 287 does not have too much speed. Mi4 and Link both going on the inside of the poles, with Snow going on the outside. Mime going for the bug slide. Oh, that's really close to the inside wall there for Mime. Look at the speed he actually got through, though, and he will take the lead ahead of Snow. Mi4 and Otak dropping down to P4 and P5, P6 for Evon, and yeah, Mime completely zooping into the lead with the 104.712 at the opening lap.
Yep, a really good lap. He wasn't in the top notch for the whole lap itself, but the identity just made his lap currently, as he is enjoying his place in P1 with Snow on the back, and the fight for P3 yet again, a fight between Otak, Mi4, Link, as well as Evon, who's trying to get his nose into the battle, making, oh no, not yet, but almost made the move on Mi4, as we're going into the identity of lap number 2.
Okay, let's see how many people are going to go around the outside. Mine goes around the outside. Otak, Mi4, and Link on the inside. Now, is Mine going to perform the bug slide? Yes, he does. Same for Snow and Evon. Otak, Link, and Mi4 going for a bit more of a safer approach, but Link did not manage to get the line up right, and thus will be down. And Mime has completely flunked at the identity here. It worked on lap 1, did not work on lap 2 here for the player from Exalted Taro, and so he will be down in penultimate placing alongside Link and Mi4 now. The Finn is up into the lead with Otak in P2, and Evon right on his heels, trying to make the move before the jump into the plastic, and he does so.
Yep, indeed, it's a really close fight for the top 2, as Mi4 is losing ground as well, so the fight for P1 might be on, as we're going to be nearing the midsection of the map. Behind this top 3 fight is Vorsal, not really in it, as he's 6th and behind, though the fight for top 4 is really close. Snow and Default, the 2 players from BS Plus competition, nearing Vorsal in. Default and Vorsal going for the safer strategy, Snow going for a full bug slide. Snow is out, which means that he'll be leaving Default to fight alone, as Otak and Vorsal battle it out for P3.
Yeah, Vorsal having had a much better exit from the identity here at the end of lap number 3, allowing him to overtake Otak for the third position. In the meantime, it's still very much nip and tuck between miQuattro and Evon. The Finns still holding the lead by around a quarter of a second compared to Evon through the first part of the map alone. Poolside and Otak. Poolside trying to pull a gap on Otak. Currently, the gap sitting around the 0.2 of a second to 0.3 of a second mark midway through the map, as we're going to be coming up to the identity now. Through the platform they go. miQuattro going a bit higher, or a bit earlier compared to Evon. Moving on to the double right-hander, then the cruise control block. Let's actually see. miQuattro going on the inside, Evon going on the outside of the poles. And miQuattro going for the safer line, whilst Evon will pull the bug slide, but it's pretty slow out here compared to even miQuattro's safe line. So miQuattro will retake the lead. Evon will lose a lot of time and even lose second place to the benefit of Wosile there as we enter into the penultimate lap.
Yeah, Wosile kind of lurking in the back, wasn't much in play. I mean, half a second behind the top two contenders, but here he is right now in second, calm and collected and capitalizing on everyone's mistakes. In P4 is Cap, a player that hasn't been really seen much as well in the matches, so it looks like he is pushing in, as Otak overtakes him for P4. As Razi as well, having made a small mistake in lap 2, I believe, has also fought his way back up into P5.
Yeah, so currently Razi is the only player to have a single-digit score after the first 3 races, so this could be very much a big boon if you could actually get some big points in the top 8. miQuattro going inside. Oh, Otak trying to go full send inside, but hits one of the poles, and that's going to be game over for him. miQuattro going for the bug slide, same for Wosile, currently 1-2 for the duo. Razi moving up to P3. Thanks to a really good identity and the mistake from others. Evon and Solja having made mistakes as well. P5 and P6 right now for the two. Solja trying to battle with Cap to reconnect into P4. Nick having done a mistake dropping down to P13, and we can see the gaps having widened quite a bit. The only real battle that could be potentially brewing, well, not even that, because it's for the lead, it's very much half a second between 1, 2, 3, and even 4th. But the battle for 4th is still very much raging on between Cap and Solja.
Yeah, indeed. The two players, Soldier has made his presence clear in the previous maps. Cap, maybe not so much, but so far, so good. With 19 points, battling for that 4th position. But I mean, those players are in the prime position to capitalize on mistake from Razi or Wosile, as we are going into the last identity last identity on this map for today. Wosile and Razi going safe, so did miQuattro, so did Soldier, so did Cap. Evon the only one risking it, and he might snipe Soldier for P5, which I think he has done successfully. Yep, he has, and barely misses out on Cap, which means that he will only finish in P5.
Also a mistake from Hydra, allowing Mime to get back into the top 8 at the very last lap, still salvaging 17 points from that job, along with the fastest lap of the race, a 59.991. miQuattro getting the win ahead of Wosile and Razi. Evon having had a bit of a rough time, managing to get back up, managing to finish into the top 8 here on Grasshopper. Snow will be coming across the line to finish in last place. But yeah, some very big points for miQuattro here, moving his tally up to 67. And we're going to have to wait for the calculation to actually come through here. He might actually gain a couple positions. Yeah, he moves up to P3 on 67 points, dead on with Mime, whilst Evon still leads the standings with 83 points.
Yeah, looks like a very strong step for Evon, and Mime with his first 2 maps being really strong. He has made a lot of mistakes in these maps, but well, so far so good for him, as we are going to be going into the last map and into the multiplier rounds.
Yeah, indeed. Moving on to your brand new map here for this week, the final stage being played on Throttling Act by Banano. The second map from Banano here in the Trackmania Grand League Fall Season map pack. And yeah, much more pace-based, a bit more emphasis on getting the sections and the lines down to the T, and of course the identity introducing the forced acceleration block and the balancing through the beams. It is very important to actually get the lineup right, otherwise you don't really have much opportunity to actually get the lineups fixed up. Otherwise, you're just going to be falling off by the wayside.
Yeah, the identity seems to be quite challenging and really precise, so the players that are known for their precision are the ones that are going to be using this identity to their advantage, that are going to be definitely fast on here. The players that haven't been feeling as comfortable as they probably should be going into such an important step, probably Mime, who I don't know. We could be seeing quite a few mistakes from him, but then again, it's Mime. He can do a lot of great things, even when underprepared. So we'll be interested to see.
Yeah. So quick score recap after the first 4 races have elapsed. Evon and Mime first and second with 83 and 67 points. Miquatro third with 67, 64 for Soldier, 59 for Wosal, 58 for Default, 43 for Link, 40 for Otak, the second place in the standings, dropping down, currently sitting in P8 with that amount of points. Cap, 38 points for him, not a bad step. Same for Energize and Hydra. Razi down to 29 points, 26 points for Nixotica, 25 for Snow, 21 for Revo, and 14 points for Fegli, who conclude the standings so far. We're about to get started here on the final stage. The first of 4 level 2 rounds are coming up. The winners of this round and the next 3 are getting to double their score.
Yep, these are the most important rounds in the step, in my opinion. The ones that kind of more or less decide where you finish. The top 2 the times 2 multipliers are a little bit easier to get, maybe as some players DNF and go for higher ones. But again, top 2 is less rewarding. As I'm seeing mistakes from Wosile, and I think it was Energize as well. So those 2 players are out of contention. Cap, I think as well, has full stopped, leaving Mime and Snow to battle it out for P1.
Yeah, currently Snow battling on with Mime and Soldier, who's also coming back into the mix. Snow not having the best dirt corner compared to even Mime, who takes up the opportunity to get into the lead and even had a mistake. Snow flipping the upper part of the wall of the plastic wall ride before the transfer jump, and so Identity, Mime with a really good entry speed into the first girder balance, second girder, and it's going to be all Mime except until the final part, and he deviates to the right hand side, leaving Soldier up into the lead into lap number 2. Link a couple of tenths behind, battling with Hydra and Otak.
Yep, well, with Mime out of contention right now, Soldier being in a comfortable P1 will be interesting to see if he saves it. Nope, he does not. He crashes and he is gone, leaving at a very interesting fight for us. Hydra, Link, and Miquatro, top 3, fighting for the spot. Hydra's already out of contention, leaves the 2 August drivers to battle it out.
Yeah, indeed. Unfortunately, yeah, there has also been a mistake from a couple people. Link has made a huge mistake, so now it's Miquatro up into the lead, a quarter of a second ahead of both Otak and Mime. Mime having recovered from that end of lap 1 blunder, now back up into second place, potentially trying to get over to the overtake down on Miquatro. Miquatro having a bit of a slow line through there, allowing Mime to catch up right back through on the second transfer, on the first transfer jump. Now into the second girder, which costs so much for Mime. He goes a bit too far to the right. Miquatro will be retaining the lead and take the win. We see also a bit of a Tony Hawk kickflip there from Revo at the start line. He DNF'd as well as Hydra and Fegli. But Miquatro will then take to the line and score 134 points for himself.
Yeah, well, I think it's a good bet for him. Quite safe. He doesn't really need to push and risk it all too much. His main goal is getting top 8, and I think this 134 points is going to help him out quite a lot, as others will have a really tough time to get this multiplier.
Indeed. Moving on to round 2 out of 8 here on this round. The second level 2 multiplier. Miquatro, having taken the first one, is already done for the day. And in the meantime, we're seeing already a mistake from Hydra, the player from Montpellier Talent player, touching the outside of the road before the bump road and the BMX road. I don't really know how to call it still these days, but yeah. Meanwhile, back up front, it's Snow, Mime, Soldier, Evon, Default, having had a bit of a slow exit from the chicane, gets overtaken by a lot of people, including Link and Cap, who are trying to potentially get themselves maybe a multiplier, especially Link after throwing that opportunity away on lap 2 previously.
Indeed. It seems like Cap is still in the fight for the multiplier, though this identity is going to be interesting to see. Mime is out, leaving Evon, Soldier, and Wosal to fight for it. Evon is also out, so the 2 Polishment are not fighting for this multiplier, leaving Soldier in P1 right now.
Yes, Soldier moving into P number 1. It seems that we have a bit of a GGeek retirement there from Otak. He might not really be bothering with the 2Xs like we've seen in the previous weeks. So far it's Soldier and Wosal first and second. Again, Soldier having a bit of a slow exit from that right-hander on the bump road, allowing Wosal to catch back up to within 0.2 of a second. But yeah, Soldier has had a good plastic wall ride coming up in the last few sections, so we're gonna see how he's able to actually potentially use it to his advantage and pull a gap on Warsaw. Warsaw catching up in the dirt. Let's actually see now the reactor boost part. The wall ride from Soldier going really low there, but Warsaw is about almost on par with him, so the gap still stays around 0.2 of a second. And look, he's even got more speed into the transfer jump, so Warsaw takes to the lead just ahead of Soldier. The battle is still very much raging on. First girder passed through cleanly for both drivers onto the second girder. Oh my god, and Soldier, that was the swerve, that was too much. And Warsaw, is he gonna take to the line or is he gonna retire? He takes to the line and scores 118 points.
Yep, good cash in for Warsaw. Was looking a little bit shaky on a couple of maps, but it's good to see that he's managed to get himself the multiplier, capitalizing on Soldier's mistake. Soldier might be bashing himself with this one because it was a pretty free multiplier right there.
Yeah, well, pretty free. The battle was still very much raging close, but he was very much in contention. He could have had Warsaw covered, but unfortunately, maybe not too confident, swerving a little bit to the right-hand side, maybe trying to correct a little bit to go for a bit of a tighter entry into the second, into the left-hander on the girders before getting back to safety, but unfortunately it did not pan out. A few mistakes from Mime as well, as Razi and Snow. Hydra has already retired. And in the meantime, it's Cap has been taking the lead by around a 10th compared to Energize. And look at who is actually coming back. We got a 4-way fight for P2 with Soldier, Energize, Link, and Evon.
Yep, it's a very, very close fight between them, as Otak as well wants a piece of that, but second doesn't really matter in this fight. Cap in first is what matters. He is in right now in contention to get himself a 2x multiplier, which would give him quite a lot of points, as he makes a mistake giving the lead to Evon, as in second place right now is Otak. Evon making a huge mistake, and Evon is out. Otak is in first.
Yeah, Evon unfortunately falling into the pool with the moving blocks, and yeah, he even died there. Well, died, of course. It's a bit weird to say that, but unfortunately his car got disintegrated in the process, so yeah, he just vanished. In the meantime, it's Otak in the lead with 40 points, but he actually goes low in the wall ride, so he might just not be bothering with that round at this point, and he leaves the lead over to Energize, who's got a buffer of around 0.8 to Nixotica. Now, maybe Nixotica might be seeking revenge for the times where the multipliers did not come through. Step 5 in particular, where he was in a drag race versus Link to the line and lost it by 0.8 of a second on bolt holes. But now Energize has got a buffer still of 0.8, managing it nice, keeping it cool, calm, and collected. I wonder if he's going to be retiring or just going to go straight to the line. We're just going to have to wait and see at the identity. The line is completely messed up, and so Nixotica inherits the lead as a result of that mistake. From Energize through the second girder he goes, and ladies and gentlemen, let's see how he actually reacts at the finish line. He will actually retire. Okay, interesting. He feels like he could actually go for a bigger multiplier than 2x, so he leaves Default to take it, and Default will score himself 116 points, moving up to provisional P3.
Yep, that is big for Default, but I think Nixotica made the right choice by not taking this multiplier. He currently finds himself around about 100 points down, which means that he really needs big points, and that 50 points is not gonna cut it.
Yeah, indeed. He's feeling like, maybe, you know what, maybe I actually feel a little bit better. He might have seen the outcome of that run and is like, huh, maybe because there are a couple more failures at the identity than what I've expected, maybe I could try to take my chances and try to go for wins as late as round 5 or round 6 to get a bigger multiplier for myself, to actually get a better chance of getting out of that automatic relegation zone. In the meantime, halfway through the first lap, Mime and Energize battling for the top placings. They got Evon and Cap joining him into the party, as well as Snow a little bit further behind.
Yeah, seems as if Snow isn't really going to be fighting too much over this unless the top 4 make mistakes, which we have seen plenty made by all of them. Energize contesting Mime for that P1, as Cap is not all too far behind. And Snow makes a huge mistake. He's not going to be getting his multiplier. Energize has made a huge mistake as well, leaving Mime clear 3 times ahead of Soldier in P2.
Yeah, and we had also a mistake from Evon at the exit of the plastic wall ride, and so the current step leader heading into the map, the final map, unfortunately, is down in P12. So yeah, he will not be in any contention for those multipliers. Currently, Mime sitting in front of Cap by around 3.5 tenths. I wonder if he's going to just take that that multiplier home. I've seen that happen before, of course, on step number 3, step number 3, where he actually took a 2x multiplier, maybe mainly due to connection instability. I wonder if he's going to go for more. Cap, unfortunately, clipping the inside. That's game over for the driver for Team Upland. Soldier inherits the second place with a 3.5 tenth gap between himself and Mime. Is he going to be able to catch up here on the wall ride? A little bit, but not really too much. Around 4 thousandths of a second, maybe on the transfer jump. It's catching up to really close, and Mime actually goes in a little bit too deep, too early, and clips on the inside, leaving Soldier up into the lead. And now at the landing of the transfer, he takes to the line and scores 128 points for himself with a 209.147 at the end of the 2-lapper, a 100.444 at the fastest lap.
Well, what can I say? Another big points cash in for Soldier. Pretty well done. Gets himself on the provisional second, and Mime making another mistake. That's what I was talking about. He might falter under pressure today, as he has not been really feeling too confident on this map.
So we're moving on to level 3. This round and the next one, the winners get to triple their score. Hydra and Evan with the best start, trying to make a breakaway in the battle for P2. But we also see Link and Energize coming into the play. Fegli is still having had a really sluggish start. Revo getting left behind as well, so it's very much a 9-player fight right now after the first part, and the wall ride is actually being closed out with Link, Hydra, Energize. It's a top 4 French affair right now.
Yeah, seems like they are really good on this map, and Cap makes a mistake. The Castus guys kind of tags him right there, as the fight for the first position is really close between Hydra and Energize. They are both up there, as Link as well, not too far behind. I think it's 1.5 tenths. Mime as well wants a piece of that cake, but okay, now I thought he had made a mistake. Who has made a mistake is Link, who is out of contention, as Mime made a mistake in the end as well, leaving Energized Hydra now.
Indeed, you said that he didn't make a mistake, but as soon as you said that, unfortunately, Mime clipping on the outside and putting himself out of contention. Evon having made a big mistake as well through the first lap. Again, at the very same part that caused him so much trouble at the plastic wall ride part. So far, it's Energized with 36 points, who's got nothing to lose at this point. Hydra just 2 tenths behind him. Then we got a further 4 tenths to actually find Otak sitting in P3, currently being a bit of trying to look at the battle for the lead from afar. Although Hydra is not exactly too close to him to actually warrant making a potential move. Maybe he could try to pull something special out of his sleeve to try and get Energized reeled back in, as we're moving on to the identity right now. Moving on to the first girder. Nice line from Energized, same for Hydra. Hydra with a bit more speed maybe compared to Energized onto the second girder. And, oh, Hydra was a bit close, but he keeps it on the road. Energized should be able to take this one home, and he takes to the flag, winning round 5 and scoring himself 108 points. Yeah, indeed. I was going to take the calculation. Thank you for... you jumped the gun on me, and to be fair, I respect that.
Yep, well, yeah, whoever's first is the one that wins the competition. Lost the thought there. Anyway, as we're going into the second ×3 spot, with Mime having a decent start. However, the second slide was not as good for him, although catches up with more speed, meaning that he and Evon, Exotic and Otak are in the top 4. No mistakes on the sausage part as we go into the wall ride. No mistakes there either from the top. I think it's 8 who are in contention currently.
Yeah, well, as I say that, there was a Snow who actually made a mistake at the CP below the wall ride, so he's going to be out of contention as it was we were actually checking that. Evon having taken the lead, trying to fill a gap on his compatriot Evon. We also see Cap and Otak firmly in the mix, as well as Link. Right now battling in the, amongst everyone, and now there I've got everyone reeled in. Evon has lost a little bit of speed at the exit of the plastic wall ride, and now it's becoming very intense for Link at the end of lap 1. Mime, though, going a bit too wide, and thus clipping the girder is going to be out of the race right now. Evon battling with Cap, but he also falls by the wayside. Otak going a bit too far wide, and clipping on the side. It's going to be Cap taking the lead at the end of lap number 1. Link moving up into P2, and Exotica currently sitting in P3, potentially in a position to actually take advantage of a big mistake up front.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about. 50 points from a 2x multiplier would not cut it. Now this, 75 points, would put him into real contention going to step 8. Well, and that is providing his opponents don't get multipliers, as Cap is looking really hesitant on the turns. Exotica makes a really bad mistake, leaving Cap, Razi, and Link to fight for the top 3.
Yeah, and that was even worse than at first sight, because he actually missed the CP because of that clip. So that respawn was even more punishing than it needed to be for Exotica. Meanwhile, Cap, Link, and Razi 1, 2, and 3. Cap releasing a fair bit into the first transfer jump. Moving on to the girder section. Link versus Razi, they're neck and neck. Cap moving down to P3. Who's going to be faltering by the wayside. Look at Cap, the speed that actually carries through into... Oh, actually, Cap is retired. He's going to go for the bigger multipliers. It was a drag race between Link and Razi to the line, and so it's going to be Link taking the finish for himself, scoring 129 points.
That was actually way closer than it looked. 0.22 seconds between Link and Razi, because Razi went for a way tighter line. He could have sniped Link easily right there, but the luck wasn't on his side, as Link overtakes Soldier by just 1 point as we go into 4x multipliers.
Yes, we're moving on to round 7 now. Cap, he had this race covered. He had the round 6 in the bag, but he's feeling at the end, you know what, I feel like I could go for a round 7 at the very least. So he decided to retire and try to go for those bigger multipliers, gifting it to Link in the end. But yeah, first part of the lap, we see Fegley having made a big mistake. He's going to be way down the order. And up front, it's between Snow, Otak, Evon, and Mime in your top 4. With Exotica right there, trying to get the train behind him to join him, as we see Evon falling by the wayside, and it's going to be game over for him here on round number 4. Snow and Mime battling for the lead, with Mime having much better speed into the dirt, taking the lead.
Yep, he's being contested currently by Otak, who has come alive right now with a lot of pace. Hydra, again, with the usual faces, Snow and Cap, and Exotica with Razi as well, not being too far as they go into the identity on lap 1. First turn is made clean by everyone. Second one, Razi falters, Cap falters, as we only have looks like 4 to 5 contestants for 4x multiplier into lap 2.
Yeah, indeed. And right now, it's very much like the story of the season that we're seeing being repeated again here on this round. Mime versus Otak, with maybe a bit of a troublemaker here in the form of Snow from Poolside Plus competition. Just 25 points for himself, but he could actually score some pretty big money if he's able to deny both of the Trackmania, both of the leaders of the standings. I say big money, of course, in the form of big points for the championship. Otak going really close to the inside of the chicane, managing to carry the speed through. Hydra having more speed at the entry to the plastic compared to Snow. Unfortunately, Exotica clipping on the inside. He's going to be retiring that round. The player from RBG Esports, and Mime having quite significantly widened the gap compared to both Otak and Hydra. Now the gap is around half a second compared to a couple of tenths a couple of corners ago. Moving on to the identity first girder. Otak falls by the wayside, leaving Hydra and Snow to try and catch up to the Polish driver from XLT Taro. The second one is nice and clean through, and I think Mime should be able to get to the flag unscathed, and that is going to be a grand total of 268 points if my calculations are correct.
I think yes, it is correct, and well, applause to Mime, not feeling confident on the map, and I eat my words. He gets the 4x multiplier and shoots himself at the first. Probably not going to be even contested unless everyone manages to get the 5x, which would be a dream for him as we go into the last round of Step 7.
Yes, indeed. Here we go. Final round of the step, and yeah, the biggest stakes at play here. The winner of this round gets to quintuple his score, multiplied by 5. Understand, Razi and Revo having hit the side of the road. Revo retires with 21 points for himself. It seems that we had a bit of a retirement as well. Who was that? I can't even find out who that was that actually left the server. I think it was Exotica. Yeah, it was indeed Nick who actually decided to retire after maybe an early mistake that we didn't catch.
Yep, he made a mistake, and another player made a mistake as Revolution. He is out of contention. Razi as well has made a huge mistake, as right now the only real fighters are Otak, Caps, No, Hydra, and Evon. Evon not looking all too good if he wants to get that round win. Hydra makes a huge mistake. He is not getting his 5x. Snow and Cap looking to be within each other. Everyone makes mistakes. Snow makes a mistake and that is really bad. Everyone is basically out. Otak and Cap are the only ones left to fight over the 5x.
Very unfortunate clip for Evon there in the middle of the girders, which completely sapped all of his momentum out of his car. So yeah, unfortunately that was very much a big mistake, and a big mistake from Cap as well, surrendering the lead to Otak in the process. And now the player from Lille Esports is going to be having a clear road ahead of him to actually get that round 5 win. Fegli is 1.5 seconds down compared to the second placed man in the current Grand League standings right now. As we're moving onto the react to boost part, onto the plastic wall ride, keeps a nice low line through there, avoids the clip on the upper part, then dropping down into the first transfer jump, manages to make it through clean. Onto the identity. First girder, he's going to be taking all the time that he needs to actually get it nice and neatly on the road. And ladies and gentlemen, that should be it for Otak, who takes round 8 here on Throttling At. Scores himself 200 points, moves up to second in the step standings, finishes the runner-up of this step. But the grand winner was Mime. Having entered the final map, not really feeling too confident, still managed to come away with another step win. Number 4 this season.
Yeah, well, it's just Mime doing Mime things. He's pushed it really, really well. This victory is well deserved for him. I'm quite surprised, actually, and I'm quite happy to be proven wrong by the Polish driver. And I think another good mention would be Vosal, who pushes up into 5th ahead of Energize.
Yeah, indeed. Mime, very much the top 4 doesn't change. Mime moving up into P5. And yeah, still a bit of shuffling positions. Dolphalt and Soldier, thanks to their good steps, move up to P9 and P10. They're well in contention potentially for those final places in the playoffs, where they were looking a little bit out of it and out of the race. But now they're looking to be even more competitive than they were in the previous part of the season. And yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how the two Belgians fare in the last step of the season, of course, coming next week. And I guess that pretty much covers it for Challenger this week. It's been a pretty interesting step. Very impressed again by the performance of Mime. Mime having had a really good opening 2 races, maybe not feeling too confident, making big mistakes in the races 3 and 4, and in the end winning the round that mattered the most, when it mattered the most, with a big multiplier win, even though, you said it himself, not really feeling too hot.
Yeah, I mean, it's him performing well under pressure. He's shown it many times, and yeah, I don't know, there's not much else to be said. Congratulations to him on the step win. I think, what is it, step win number 4, I think it is, this season.
Yeah, so that was his 4th step of the season, and that's the second time that he actually won 2 steps back to back, if I recall correctly. So yeah, he's just on another level. But yeah, it's been fun. It's been actually fun following this step alongside you, Kaspa. I hope you had as good a time as I had following the action alongside you. And if you want to actually promote yourself, plug your social media and whatever, the floor is yours.
I don't know, I'm not too active on social media. However, I do stream sometimes on my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/KaspaTM. As for Twitter, if you search up the name Kaspa, you should find it as well. The activity there is quite lackluster, but might have a meme or 2 there.
Yeah, but that's okay. I mean, you don't really have to. If people can actually still find you, I mean, it's always a good thing. Kaspop19, you see it right below his screen for Twitter. As for myself, well, if you want to follow all the information about myself, whenever I go stream, whenever I cast on different channels and stuff like that, make sure to head over to @TMGgeek on Twitter and hit the follow button. Same for Twitch, twitch.tv/TMGgeek. Of course, do not leave just yet for the Trackmania Grand League. We have the top flight at 8 p.m. with a variety of PLV casts from English, French, and German languages respectively, as well as a big global cast from Virtual main event in the chat if you want the big roundup of everything that's going to be coming your way. I'm going to be sending you over, of course, to none other than Virtual, who's going to be playing Cup of the Day, of course. In the meantime, we do have a bit of a break, around an hour before the start of the steps, so he's going to be filling in the time. Go over to Virtual, tell him hi from our part here over on the Trackmania channel, and yeah, I will be seeing you on Wednesday for episode 7 of the Grand League Weekly Show, and of course, next Sunday for the 8th and final step of the season. Thank you very much for tuning in, and yeah, we'll see you all next week. Godspeed, people!
Goodbye.